Good afternoon, welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, the Economist Intelligence Unit predicts an average inflation of 18% for Ghana by the end of 2024. Meantime, interest rates have fallen for the second week running, reflecting the ease in inflation. Also coming up, macroeconomic modeling in Ghana appears to be on the right track, according to a report from the African Development Bank.
While some might argue that economic development is often a gamble, it has become evident that having sound models that are embedded in national realities improves the probability of winning that gamble.
More from the African Economic Conference in Ethiopia in a bit. Also, U.S. urges Ghana to improve business environment as Joy Business is recognized by the American Chamber of Commerce Ghana for its immense contribution to growth of businesses.
The African diaspora community's attention. As our global diversity trade mission to Ghana in August showed, the African diaspora is ready to do business in Ghana. However, macroeconomic stability and trade and investment policies matter to that diaspora just as they do to business people all over the world.
My name is Daryl. Kwawu. Thanks for being with us. Details coming up. Thanks for staying with us, everyone. First up, Ghana will record an average inflation of 18% by the end of 2024. That's forecast by the Economist Intelligence Unit. This was captured in its updated Africa Outlook report. Here's more.
This will be a significant fall from the average of about 38% in 2023. According to the UK-based firm, Ghana's average inflation in 2024 will place it 8th in Africa, but lower than Nigeria. It said inflationary pressures are expected to ease from the more elevated levels recorded in 2023 for all but a small handful of African countries, including Seychelles and Sudan. It added that an easing of consumer price pressures will be a welcome relief for policymakers and households. However, inflation will run strong into 2024 and remain a central story for several large economies, including Angola, Egypt, and Ghana.
Meantime, interest rates have fallen for the second week running, reflecting the ease in inflation. According to auction results of Treasury bills by the Bank of Ghana, the government recorded a 14.75% oversubscription of the targeted amount. Head of Trading at Republic Securities, Patrick Edemagawa, joins me on Zoom with more on this. Patrick, let's start off with how the auction went last Friday.
All right, good afternoon, Daryl. On the money markets, the government raised a total of 3.7 billion against a target of 3.2 billion, increasing significantly. Again, the 91-day was the most desired, but we've seen the 91-day and the 364-day dropping. The 91-day fell by 9.93 basis points to close at 29.74, and the 364-day cleared at 33.45%, dropping by 0.12 basis point. The 182-day, however, saw a slight increasing by 0.11 basis point to close at 31.88%.
Well, in the last 2 weeks, we've seen interest rates go down. Is it because inflation is easing, and how is that impacting the market?
Well, Daryl, interest rate is following the same trend as inflation. But the main driving force of this drop in interest rates is the initial pricing guidance that we are getting from the Ministry of Finance. This is actually informing investors on where to place their bids during the auction. So although inflation and interest rates are decreasing, we can attribute that to the main driving force here. Also, investors are looking at how quick inflation can fall to meet these rates to make them meaningful, because as it stands, inflation is still way above interest rate, and we expect that to trend downwards fast.
Okay, so the EIU, as you just reported, is projecting inflation to decline to 18% by 2024. As inflation continues to ease towards the end of the year, what is the outlook for the Treasury market, and what should investors take into consideration as they make decisions?
Well, investors must know that with this initial pricing guideline capping in place, definitely if you bid too high above the level expected by the ministry, you are going to lose out. And I think the banks and the financial system or the sector is understanding this particular principle. And with this, we expect the interest rate to fall to trend the same way as inflation is going. And that should also be seen in other indicators like the monetary policy rate and the Ghana reference rate. We expect that to also reflect in those indicators.
On the stock market, we saw a slowdown in performance last week. What's the reason? What should we expect this week?
Well, on the market, we've seen that the only gainer for last week was farm milk. Activity was really low. MTN still dominated trade volumes and trade values. We can attribute that to end of year pressure and all that, but we are still studying how the end of year results coming in will trigger some stocks. We are seeing the market largely on the offer side. We have stocks like ETI, MTN Ghana, Enterprise Group Limited showing huge numbers on the offer side.
Now, a couple of weeks ago, we spoke about the produce buying company, PBC. It was to be suspended temporarily, and that has happened, even though we got indication last minute of a last minute attempt by PBC to publish its financials. Is it having any impact on the market? What is the pathway for the company getting listed again?
Well, Daryl, yes, PBC on the 8th, that was the last day given to them, supplied their end of year 2022 financials and then the first quarter financials for 2023. But we are yet to see the second quarter and then the third quarter, as well as even the fourth quarter of 2023, because their year ends in September. So we are yet to see that. That still does not meet the timely disclosure clause that is needed by these listed companies to meet. So so far as they can show that they can be able to meet that timely disclosure clause, then I'm sure they will be able to be given that chance to get listed again.
Patrick Edem-Agama, Head of Trading Republic Securities, I appreciate your time with us this afternoon. Now, macroeconomic modeling in Ghana appears to be on the right track. That's according to the African Development Bank's latest report on benchmark macroeconomic modeling for effective policy management in Africa. The report aims at taking an inventory of models currently used by countries whilst gaining a better understanding of their features and predictive capacities in order to diagnose existing capacity needs in African institutions. Although the financial agency pointed out some limitations in Ghana's macroeconomic modeling, it is predicting that improved global macroeconomic conditions, strong domestic demand and growth in expenditure are expected to lead to the reboot of economic activity in Ghana. Blessed Suga has more from the economic conference in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
The 2023 African Economic Conference in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, witnessed the launch of the African Development Bank's report on macroeconomic models for effective policy management in Africa. As stakeholders at this conference reflect on the imperatives for sustainable industrial development in Africa, the Development Bank outdoored its latest survey, which carried out an inventory of macroeconomic models currently used by countries while gaining a better understanding of their features and predictive capacities in order to diagnose existing capacity needs in African institutions. Professor Kevin Chika Urama is Chief Economist and Vice President of the African Development Bank.
While some might argue that economic development is often a gamble, it has become evident that having sound models that are embedded in national realities improves the probability of winning that gamble. This report was designed to elicit better understanding of the situation in Africa map the macroeconomic policy modeling capabilities on the continent, understand the specific needs of these countries, their specific contexts, and the questions they want to answer, and then develop protocols for cooperation in macroeconomic policy management in Africa.
The benchmark Macroeconomic Models for Effective Policy Management in Africa report also did a country-by-country analysis, which noted improved global macroeconomic conditions, strong domestic demand and growth in capital expenditure to lead the reboot of economic activity in Ghana, while forecasting real GDP growth by 4.7% in 2023. Although the report rates macroeconomic modeling to be on the right track in Ghana, it also called for improvement in the area of enhancing the capacity of staff to allow for responsiveness to the changing economic structure.
So one key takeaway from this exercise is that many countries have realized the importance of modeling for their own economies, for informing policy decision, for informing, if you like, their own allocation of resources from the budget. And we also have noticed that to a large extent, there are some differentiations in the way these models are used. Some are externally imposed on these countries, probably not imposed as such, but they are as a result of external support rather than demand-driven. Maybe out of technical assistance for a program that these countries are implementing, but others are as a result of being part of the IMF program, for instance, and they are allowed to use the financial programming, for instance, which is aligned with the IMF program itself. But generally, we have noticed that some countries have also built in country capacity, but we need to own our own development agenda, including domesticating macroeconomic modeling that will inform our development planning, so that we can as well be at par with China, with Europe, and many other developed countries.
Right.
The African Development Bank remains hopeful that its latest findings will assist all relevant global, regional and national stakeholders to better navigate the rapidly growing and evolving African landscape of policymaking and macroeconomic modeling.
Now, President Kwawu has indicated government's commitment to make Ghana one of the first countries to attain universal access to clean and modern energy by 2030. Though he admits the target is ambitious, with about $550 billion needed in the next 40 years to see it through, he is optimistic it is attainable. He has been speaking at the Ghana Energy Awards.
Ghana aims to become one of the first countries to attain universal access to clean and modern energy by 2030. It also hopes to be among countries to decarbonize the energy industry by 2030. In view of this, the National Energy Transition Framework was established as a policy guide to help the country attain its net zero target. President Akufo-Addo made the disclosure at the 7th Ghana Energy Awards.
This national framework is ambitious, but it is attainable. It is anticipated that some $550 billion United States dollars will have to be raised over the next 40 years, equivalent to some 10% of our annual GDP. This may appear huge, but yet it is less than what would be spent if we carry on unconcerned. Furthermore, the framework will have long-term advantages for our economy, society, and environment. It will increase our energy security, diversify our energy mix, create jobs, boost health, help to eradicate poverty, and safeguard our natural resources. The framework will also position Ghana as a world leader in energy transition. We will be amongst the first countries, both in Africa and beyond, to attain universal access to clean and modern energy by 2030.
In a speech, Deputy Minister for Energy Andrew Ejapa-Mensah emphasized the need to strengthen institutions and build capacity.
As a signatory to the Paris Agreement and a producer of oil, it is important that Ghana lends itself to the relevant issues around the broad subject of energy transition. Within this context, the targets that we have set ourselves in the medium to long term will come to naught if we do not strengthen and empower the various sector institutions to help attain these lofty goals. And that is why this theme resonates particularly well.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation, Edwin Provençal, was adjudged the Best Male Energy Personality. Khadija Amwa, CEO of Pecan Energies Ghana Limited, was named the Female Energy Personality of the Year. The awards ceremony was held under the theme Ghana's Energy Transition Framework, Sector Institutions as Building Blocks for the 2030-2040 target.
Now, the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, says the U.S. will continue to remain one of Ghana's biggest and best business partners in Africa. She, however, wants the government to improve the business environment. She was speaking at the American Chamber Ghana Thanksgiving Dinner and Awards Night in Accra, where Joy Business was recognized for its contribution to business growth. Yes, more. According to the U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, American businesses are extremely interested in trade and investments in Ghana. This she attributes to the stable political environment and the strategic location of Ghana on the continent. Speaking at the American Chamber of Commerce Ghana Thanksgiving Dinner and Awards Night, Palmer urged the government to bring the cost of doing business in Ghana down.
Ghana absolutely has the African diaspora community's attention. As our global diversity trade mission to Ghana in August showed, the African diaspora is ready to do business in Ghana. However, macroeconomic stability and trade and investment policies matter to that diaspora just as they do to business people all over the world. Diaspora investors know if others are not getting paid. They know if there's a lack of contract sanctity or if there's an overly aggressive tax collection. I'm being diplomatic. Treating existing investors, you here in this room, well, tangibly improves the investment climate. And unnecessary barriers to entry and partnership, such as high minimum thresholds for investment, hinder it. We have terrific small and medium-sized enterprises on both sides of the Atlantic that could be partnering on creating new ventures.
Meanwhile, Joy Business, its editor Charles Nixon Yeboah, as well as Louis Sichiama, also known as Lexis Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy, were recognized by the American Chamber of Commerce Ghana for their immense contribution and hard work in the organization and promotion of the 2023 U.S. Business Expo held in August. Founder of Ashesi University, Patrick Ewa, called on the business community to boost entrepreneurial energy of the youth in building the economy.
It was all about entrepreneurial energy, but also entrepreneurial energy operating within an ecosystem, an economy that was managed a certain way, policies that were set a certain way. And that is the task that we need to do here.
Other award winners were Delta Airlines and Cosmos Energy. Now, entrepreneurs, both aspiring and seasoned, have been urged to go beyond merely setting up a business and to instead seek out the keys to business triumph through the acquisition of astute marketing tactics. Here's more from a one-day business seminar organized by the Muslim Executive Foundation for the Muslim Community. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin has more.
Sheikh Abdul Mohsin Bafi emphasizes the significance of choosing the right location for a business. He says consumer preferences and the success of a business often hinges on its proximity to potential customers. Understanding the market demands is also crucial for tailoring products or services that will resonate with the target audience.
Before you establish a business, such as a lab, consider whether the people in the region truly desire it. If they don't need it, it will become a waste. Always ensure that there is a supply reaction.
Also make sure there is a response for demand.
Sheikh Bafi delves into the art of deep thinking and observation, stating that successful entrepreneurs possess an innate curiosity and an ability to see beyond the obvious without carefully planning and a thorough understanding of the business landscape.
There are some businesses that will lose more if you do not exercise caution before entering them.
Sheikh Bafi warns entrepreneurs might find themselves unable to make a living before they even realize.
Differentiation.
At the KNUST Business School emphasizes the importance of forward thinking and flexibility in business strategies to stay competitive in today's dynamic market. He urges entrepreneurs to plan ahead and anticipate future trends, emphasizing the significance of not falling behind in the fast-paced business world.
Be rigid about what you must do and what you must avoid. You don't have to interject after putting up these ideas. Just ensure it functions properly. For example, if it is a requirement that you do not sell on credit, be certain that you do not default, even through family members.
The seminar, organized by the Muslim Executive Foundation, focused on the theme implementing effective marketing strategies for competitive edge. It also featured Sadiq Abdulrazak, a professional in business consultancy.
In a business setting, you must be strategic so that you don't mistakenly copy someone. You don't start a business because someone else is doing it. You have to know your path and what you want to achieve.
Attendees from Muslim communities in the Ashanti region. Report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
We'll stay in the Ashanti region because the regional director of agriculture there has revealed the production of baby foods is an untapped opportunity in Africa. Reverend Dr. John Menu wants women in agriculture to tap into the infant food value chain for economic gain. He was speaking at the Women in Agribusiness Summit held in Kumasi.
Africa imports 570 million euros of food preparations for infant use every year, and this figure is projected to exceed 1.1 billion euros by 2026. This expected demand growth offers important investment opportunities in the infant food value chain in Africa. According to the Ashanti Regional Director of Agriculture, Reverend Dr. John Menu, women in agriculture need to take advantage of opportunities under the African Continental Free Trade Area.
The women in agribusiness should take advantage of the AFTA, which is a continental agreement for free trade in agriculture. From a reliable source, we realize that Africa in particular is importing about 1.1 trillion euros of baby food. And it's a potential for our women to go into processing of baby food, so that instead of importing about 5.7 trillion a year, we can use that money for ourselves as a continent.
The 2023 Women in Agribusiness Summit, held under the theme Sustaining African Agribusiness, focused on educating women on leveraging digitalization, AFTA, and climate resilience. Organizers of the program want gender quotas for women increased in the trade area to enable female businesses thrive. Nanadra Sifa is founder of Guzakuza and lead organizer of Women in Agribusiness Summit.
You can see it's not only for women in Ghana, it's for women across the continent. So you have women from Malawi, women from Kenya, women from South Africa, Nigeria, all present here. We have started in Kumasi because we believe that there are more women in agribusiness in this region. From here, we're moving to Tamale and then we go to Accra. My number one request is for African leaders to be able to give quota to women. So, for example, you can give maybe 20% or 30% of your market share to women. Women, we want you to produce rice, we want you to produce onion, we want you to produce whatever we need. We want to buy from you. Instead of importing from China, instead of importing from Burkina Faso or other countries, we want you to produce for us. And this will help women to thrive.
She also wants the government to provide women-friendly policies in Ghana.
I know the government is doing some of what he's supposed to do, but I am also encouraging the government to help provide women-friendly policies that are targeted at only women and not just policies.
Anita Sewachuka's report, read to you.
Well, next, you cannot depend on your children. Take steps to join SNIT to help yourself during old age. That's a call on workers within the informal space, as the Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Tinkran, is urging the self-employed to take advantage of digitalization to join the scheme and contribute comfortably. He spoke during a sensitization walk with the Senior Staff Association members of SNIT. Precious Semevo has more.
We are going out there to convince people, workers of Ghana, who actually are the ones who move this economy, the people who are self-employed, to let them know that SNIT is there for them, that all the benefits that are available to people who work in offices, people who are working for government, all of those benefits are also equally accessible to any worker in Ghana who helps to contribute to this economy.
Survival of informal workers during their old age with no strength to earn an income remains a concern for workers, especially in the informal sector. The Director General of SNIT, Dr. John Tinkran, joined the Senior Staff Association on a sensitization drive on the streets of Sunyani to educate the self-employed workers on the scheme's benefits. He said parents cannot continue to depend on their children and urged them to take advantage of digitalization to save towards the future.
They are the ones who make this economy move, and they do not have any form of pension other than probably putting their faith in their children. We know that times have changed. You cannot depend on your children. They may be willing to be helping you, but even their salaries that they may be earning may not be even enough for them and their nuclear families. And that is why SNIT has come out, and with the help of the digitalization agenda that has taken a storm in this country, with the Ghana card, with the ability to remit monies electronically through Momo e-levy free, we are now able to bring our services to the doorstep of all self-employed persons in this country. The mission is that in the very near future, when you ask people who have gone on pension and you ask them, what were you doing in your active years, you would hear that I was a hairdresser, I was a caterer, I was a mason, I was a plumber, and many more.
The Senior Staff Association President, Edward Osubaini, explained how flexible it is to enroll on the scheme.
All right, and that's our program this afternoon. Thanks for watching, everyone. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. My name is Daryl. Kwawu. Thanks for watching.